Good evening, everybody. I'd like to now call the East Lyme Zoning Commission regular meeting of August 5th, 2021 to order. It is 7:31. I'd like to rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will ask you wonderful people out there to silence your cell phones for me, please. I will do a roll call of members. Mr. Walker, our chairman, is absent. I will be filling in. I am Terry Donovan. Mr. Dwyer is here. Kim Kay.
Present.
Mr. Peck. Ms. Thurlow.
Yep.
Mr. Liska. Here. Ms. Markovitz.
Here.
Mr. McPherson is not. Candace.
Here.
I'm going to try this. Devinitis?
Devenditas.
Devenditis. I was close.
Yes,
Thank
you
you. Mr. Mulholland, Brooke Stevens, Roseanne Hardy, and our good friend, attorney. Where are you? What's your name? Mark. There you go. At this time, I would like to seat an alternate. Seeing Mr. Walker is here, I would like to seat Miss Denise Markovitz, please. At this time, I'd like to ask for public delegations. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission on subjects that are not on the agenda. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to bring up any items that are not on the agenda? Seeing there is none, at this time, I would like to go into executive session with town attorney to discuss landmark 2015 affordable housing appeal and Drabick Tower appeal. Do I have a motion to enter executive session, inviting Mr. Mulholland and our ex officio, Ms. Hardy? And Mr. Zamarker. Thank you.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ann. At this time, I'm going to... Brooke is coming back. Sorry about that, everybody. But some things are needed to be done. Brooke, if you just take a note that we took a motion to exit executive session with no action taken at 8:14. Kim K, followed by Norm.
Was it 8:14?
Yes. Yep. Okay, moving on.
No action taken.
Yep.
You got that? Okay.
Yep. Public hearing number 1, application of Candace Devenditas.
Devenditas.
Devenditas, tenant of Devs on Main, for a special permit for outdoor dining at 255 Main Street, Niantic, Connecticut. East Lyme Assessor's Map 2.1, Lot 107. Thank you. Okay. You read the Brandon Legal Zed?
Yes, we have.
Paper?
Thank you.
I have a memo from Mr. Mulholland dated August 5th, 2021 to the East Lyme Zoning Commission, William Mulholland, regarding 255 Main Street outdoor dining special permit. As the commission may be aware, Devs on Main is a new restaurant addition to our Main Street in Niantic Village. It is located in the building commonly identified as the old Dunkin' Donuts building or the old Friendly's restaurant. The applicant, Candace Devenditas, has undertaken an extensive renovation of the building interior along with a refresh of the exterior. A minor architectural design review for the new exterior paint scheme was performed as required by section 34.7C, which is performed by my office. Included in this review is the outdoor dining area in front of the building. In this application, it is proposed to construct an outdoor dining deck/patio in front of the building adjacent to the sidewalk. The subject area will be approximately 18 feet by 18 feet. It will be constructed in 2 phases. The first will consist of a deck and a rail system that will be temporary. This system will be replaced next spring with a permanent concrete pad with a decorative black metal fence system. The area will hold 6 or 7 tables. Full food and beverage service will be available. The application must comply with the, quote, restaurant, outdoor dining, end quote, requirements found in section 20.25 of the zoning regulations. A review of this section finds the application is compliant. However, this commission will need to ensure it clarifies for the record closing times for the patio, entertainment, public address systems, and any use of the outdoor speakers. In addition, the outdoor dining area will need a waiver of the setback dimensions as required in section 20.25J. In conclusion, the commission should carefully evaluate the proposal and its addition to the character of Main Street and the developing restaurant culture of the village. With that, I will introduce Ms. Candace. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Candace Devendidis. I'm the owner of Devs on Main here in Niantic, and I just want to say first and foremost how truly exciting it's been. This endeavor has taken a few months. The town has bent over backwards to be friendly with us, to work with us, to support us. It's a long journey, but it's been so refreshing to work with people who want you to succeed. So we have our outdoor patio. We brought it over from New London, our location in London. It was a deck that we have converted right now temporarily just for the season. We just did not have the time to get the engineers to do the specs for the concrete and the decorative railings that we wanted. But right now it is a outdoor deck, 18 by 18, about 6 tables right now with the blue umbrellas. We've got the railings. We've painted it gray to kind of complement the building that we had painted. And phase 1 is really to get us through just this summer. We do have on standby architects as well as vendors who are looking to right now talk to us about how we're going to structure this. We know we want to do a concrete pad. We want it to be a decorative. We just don't want a slab. We want it to look nice. It's going to be slightly raised where it is right now. The railroad tracks that you see in front, that's going to be replaced because they're old and they're
Railroad ties.
Yep, those are going by the wayside. The other half of it, if you haven't noticed, there were some shrubs. We took those down. Right now, it really just looks like it's just a dark mulch. What we'd like to do on that area is keep it green. We want to do a couple little arbors on the ends of each so we can have some vines, we can have some blueberry bushes. Our goal is to have a couple flowering fruit trees in the front and then also grow basil and, you know, little herbs. For people who want to pick a little crab apple, pick an apple. You want to pick a little pear, pick a pear. But it looks nice. It looks like it's a green part of the community, so it's just not all concrete. So we're going to have that on the side. We do hope that on the side of the building, eventually we want to keep it clean. We've done the mulching, but we want to keep that whole area tidy, clean, pretty, to match the building, to match the deck, to match the rest of the town that we are super excited to be a part of. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just to make
Yes?
this- That is a rail around there, not a brick wall.
No, it's a rail.
Where it's sittable, like we have a problem.
No.
Okay,
It's
so
yep,
rail.
absolutely railing.
I know it says it there. I just-
Oh, it is. It is.
Well, you don't have the design designed yet, quote unquote.
Well, there's a sketch
No,
in
that's-
your package, but it's just...
That's my sketch.
Yeah, we don't have all the final details, but typical metal probably black, I think
Yeah.
is the thinking at this time. There are 3 or 4 varieties, but they're all similar.
May I ask for a point of clarification? Because in the packet of information I have, the size is 18 by 16, and I think Terry read 18 by 18, and you said 18 by 18.
18 by 18, it's 18 wide, and either 16 or 18, I think it's 18.
The drawings in the packet, I think are
16.
18
Yeah.
by 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that's a typo in my memo. Jim did that late in the day.
Your memo was 18 by 16, but Terry said 18 by 18, and you said 18 by 18, so
I think she was just relaying what I said, but he had a typo in his memo.
Mine's apparently not a typo. It's
your
from
type,
the drawings.
your memo matches
The drawings.
the drawings.
Yeah.
What is it?
You
18
incorrectly
what is-
read it as 18 by 18.
Oh, I did read it by 18. I
It's
apologize.
okay.
18 by 16.
There's just someone here that has to track these details.
No,
Okay, I
absolutely.
wore a tie. I was
It must be choking.
My brain hurts.
So, Mr. Chairman, we should ask about the hours of operation of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I also have some more questions.
Sure.
about If we have any more questions from any other commission members.
I have one additional comment. I know that you mentioned fruit trees, so I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but fruit trees make me a little nervous for a couple of reasons. One, if the fruit falls off the trees, it's going to create cleanup burden on our sidewalks, on the patio. It's going to draw bees. People are allergic to bees. My recommendation would be if we could. I love the idea of beautifying the downtown, but I'm concerned about fruit and what could happen with the fruit.
We haven't purchased anything. It was an idea, the same reason some of the flowers that we want for the deck, they're great for bees, and we're like, no, we can't have any. In the backyard is wonderful, but respectfully, you're exactly right. We want to do something, we can do any kind of flowering trees. We just want something to be pretty, but that's such a valid point. Yes, we don't want a mess on the sidewalk, and we certainly don't want any bees. That's not good for anybody. So, point taken. We'll just do some kind of nice trees, and we'll bring that up to everyone's attention before we do that. Do I thank you?
Maybe dogwoods or something like that, the small.
Yeah.
How many entrances are going to be going into this patio? So is this patio just going to be accessed from the restaurant itself, or as you go in? Or you just
No,
go
you
inside,
can
or
come in from the sidewalk on the original,
on
we're-
the sheep side?
on the sheep side. Yeah, you can go in that way, and then you can come in through the sidewalk, and then on the other side where the handicap parking spot is, you can come in that way to the deck.
So it will be handicap accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
There'll be a chain to control the alcohol, so those vendors.
Well, that's where I'm going to on that
Mhm.
one there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that this morning when we met to discuss this.
Yeah.
It's one of the items we talked about, chaining it and, and having open and closed as appropriate.
Yeah, just to let people know, it's not, you just don't wander in, sit down, or wander out.
So tonight, Mr. Holland, are we just granting, hopefully just outdoor dining the way it is, temporary, and then when the design comes back, we'll see it again?
We'd prefer to do both tonight so that you can plan for the spring. The design is essentially the same in terms of a concrete pad, the same size, the same dimensions, and, a black rail fence. It's not a whole lot to it, in my opinion, but certainly up to the commission.
I'd like to see it.
That's not a problem.
I'm going to disagree with the chairman because I think we need to grant some latitude with our business owners and allow them
I'll give you that one. Yeah.
to.
Yep.
And
Drive
that's really
business.
what we've kind of been discussing, is the flexibility. I mean, the interior has been absolutely gutted and rebuilt.
Yeah.
The exterior's been refreshed.
It looks fantastic.
Thank
It
you.
all kind of, most everyone likes the color scheme. If you look at it and you look at the sheet from that perspective, it picks up some blacks from his and some grays, and so it all kind of blends, but it's different and unique unto themselves, which is one of the things we tried to do.
So you're going to have to build some sort of concrete wall up to replace the ties there?
Whether it's a wall, we definitely want it, we do want it raised. So, it probably would be a concrete wall and then the railing.
Yeah, we may, we'll talk about that, we could face it with stone, you know.
Well, that's what I was,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting to, because that way it would
Yeah.
tie, you know, more character together with
Yeah.
the
Those things that
downtown.
are on the table,
Yeah.
we'll talk about whether they're stone or some other similar material.
Yep.
And if it does stone, do we use beach stone, dry stack stone? Those are little cues of things we can talk about. If the commission wants to see the final product and design, we could bring it back.
Mhm.
We don't necessarily need to do it in a public hearing, we could just say, hey, FYI, hey, here's.
No, I'll rescind my comment.
Sounds good to me, Mr. Chairman.
Ma.
Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Peck?
Yeah, is it a full liquor license?
Yes.
Okay. So, closing times, entertainment, can you comment on that?
Right now, we don't have any entertainment scheduled to be outside or inside,
Okay.
number one. We have music inside, you know, a small stereo. So there's no amplification outside, number one.
Ambient
Yeah,
background
it's,
music.
you know, it's nice music, you know. It's, no one's going to be offended. There might be a little Frank Sinatra once in a while, I'm just saying. But it's not loud. It really is background music. Our hours of operation for outdoor will mirror indoor. We're open until 9 o'clock at night. Our kitchen is open until 9. When our kitchen is closed, we're closed. So if you're still inside having dinner and enjoying a cocktail, by all means. But when our kitchen closes, we're closed. So you won't be coming to our restaurant, whether it's indoor or outdoor, to sit outside and have a few pops. We're closed. On the weekends, we're getting crazy. We will be open until 10. As soon as the kitchen is closed,
And then like holiday events, like the holiday stroll and.
That's been
parade, all
overruled,
that.
by the way.
I can stay open late.
Yes. Attorney Wallen
The Dwyer
overruled that.
effect.
He says, you can close the kitchen anytime and serve liquor.
Well, I want to get this renewed next year as well. So our whole point is, we've been in business in New London for about 14 years, and we've had the outdoor dining. But we are, no matter which way you look at it, we're a restaurant. We've always been a restaurant. People don't come into our restaurant when our kitchen is closed for drinks. It's just not that place. It never has been. So, like I said, our outdoor will mirror our indoor. It's, you know,
Are you
we're a small-
breakfast as well?
No, just lunch and dinner. We're a small business, but I'll be honest with you, I don't need the business that much that I want to be open for cocktails late at night. I don't want it. We never have been that place.
Mr. Mulholland, in our other outdoor dining permits, I'm not remembering, but did we have hours
We
in
had
the
hours
outdoor?
for everyone, and what, you know, we've had discussion about equality in terms of hours, but what we concluded in the zoning world, each property is unique and different unto itself, and there are generally different conditions, different types of venues, so we have, some of them are a little different, the outdoor dining, and as you noted, in this case, when the kitchen is closed, they choose to be closed. Others choose to linger. Some restaurants will, as we know, be open and the kitchen's closed. If some might close, you might roll in at 10 and they may still have a couple sandwiches. Someone's hungry. You know, we've seen that too, and it's a favorite time of year. Obviously, in the winter, nobody's open on the
Yeah.
patio.
Candace, what are you going to be having for like outdoor lighting out there?
We do have, well, we have the outdoor lighting. When the sign is coming very shortly, we'll have additional lighting. The perimeter around the building actually has fluorescent lighting.
So you're not adding any lighting just for the
There's
patio
soffit-
itself?
There's soffit lighting on the building, which I recall seeing.
Yeah,
And you know, I talked about that. So that lighting, we think, will provide enough.
Enough.
and we'll also, we might put some little solar, but, you know, as it gets colder, it gets darker. So last year during the virus, we stayed open as long as possible because that was the only alternative for us to serve any food. And we were out there, and everyone was out there shivering to death. But when it got dark, it just got too cold. So, you know, as the summer wanes, it's dark at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And, you know, we'll have some lighting, but I don't really see our customers wanting to sit outside when it gets that dark. My customers tend to want to be inside.
Do we have any other comments from the commission?
And I just think it's a great addition to Main Street, and it's looking really good.
Thank you. And I will say, this town has been so gracious to us, from Bill to Steve to John and Frank, the fire marshal, everyone. It's been a long process, but they've made it so nice for us.
We had a first name.
It looks,
Only $3 to go in the store.
Mr. Mulholland?
Speakers, are we gonna have is there any thought about speakers outdoors, or no, yes, maybe?
I hadn't thought about having speakers.
Well,
Like,
if that changes, then we can always
Yeah.
come back, and next year we.
Had a couple of Alexas out there or something?
Yeah, okay, but I wanted to cover that base. because
Yeah.
We do that for everybody else,
Yeah.
and we want to ensure
this summer, no.
we ask the same question.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I have one other question.
Shoot.
Before we move on, do you want to share anything about your menu or what type of restaurant you want? Because I'm not sure everybody knows.
For those of you who don't know, we are a tapas restaurant. Are specializing in small plates. So they're mini appetizers. 3 or 4 of them are an entree. So for people who don't want to eat a lot, it's a great place to come, have a couple bites, talk to one another, have a sip, have a few more bites. It's not a rushing, get in, get out. We have full-size full-size entrees, soups, salads, sandwiches. Those are all what we call big kid sizes. For those of you who may not want to dabble into our smaller plates, but they are the core. 80% of our business comes from these small plates. It's just a way of people enjoying a lot of different tastes without a big pile of food in front of them. So everything is homemade. We don't
Which is great.
we don't buy anything ahead of time. No marinades. We make everything on site. In fact, that's what the chef is doing with her team right now in preparation for getting the place open. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's good food. I'm going to be honest with you. It's real good food.
Will the parking be reserved for devs, or how
I
does
have
that work?
parking right now. We have the signs that went up that says parking. You know, we're not mean, no parking. It says des parking. What we want, the parking spaces are ours. The only objection that we have is if employees are parking there for other establishments, we will go to those establishments and ask their employees to park in the lot. But if you have a
It's been
customer...
empty for a while, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. But if you have a customer that's going to go to the Black Sheep, I'm certainly not going to run out there because that person might be having a cocktail before he has dinner with me. So we're not going to be bad neighbors when it comes to that at all. But Bill will tell you, the only objection I do have, and we are kind of monsters about it, is that we have a handicap spot, and I'm going to guard that. That's a big deal for me. We will chase.
Which brings you to my point here. On that area here, you have seasonal outdoor seating. Meaning of what?
Meaning in the wintertime, we won't have seating.
No, but I mean, like, are you going to be blocking the sidewalk there?
Oh, no.
Or is it just like a bench or something? Or what am I talking about?
I think that was just to label it, it was a label.
It might be like a little flower, a
Oh,
little...
I see, if you look on your drawing right here. That's not intended to be any seating there.
No, I think just the words were to say seasonal.
Oh, so it just wasn't
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
and pasted correctly?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
All
nothing
right.
there.
Okay, so you're not blocking the sidewalk or anything?
No,
All right.
not at all.
There-
Nope.
Got you.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on.
And you'll be opening,
Tomorrow.
We're opening tomorrow for a very quiet, soft opening, just to give our employees a chance to figure out what they're doing in there, because tapas is very different. Our cooks in our kitchen, it's a new experience for a lot of people, so we're going to open very quietly this weekend just for some people to come in and stress our staff and our culinary. We're open to the public Tuesday. We'll start opening on Tuesday for lunch, and off we go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
and for
Thank
anybody
you.
who hasn't been downtown, you were down last Saturday several times, evening and a little later. The whole place was mobbed.
Yes.
Every restaurant was packed.
Oh,
All the outdoor
it was
patios
today,
were
during the
full.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen downtown that vibrant. It's
No.
It is
finally
doing
taking
very
hold.
well.
It's
Yeah,
a beautiful
finally
thing.
taking hold.
Okay.
And I will just say, Candace,
Nice
that
and
I have
easy.
eaten at Dev's, and the food is spectacular.
Thank you.
It'll be a great addition.
I appreciate that. She tries very hard.
Okay, moving on. Do we have any public comment on this hearing? Seeing no, I would take a motion to continue a close the public hearing.
So moved.
Kim K. Mr. Dwyer, second. Thank you. Moving on, regular meeting. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you very much.
The application of Candace Devendidis, tenant of Devs on Main, for a special permit for outdoor dining at 255 Main Street, Niantic, Connecticut. East Lyme Assessor's Map 12.1, Lot 107. Do we have any more discussion on said application? No?
I don't think so.
Do I have a motion to approve or deny, please?
Have a motion to approve.
With the granting of the waiver for setbacks?
I make a motion to approve the application of Candace Devendidis, tenant of Devs on Main, for a special permit for outdoor dining at 255 Main Street, Niantic, Connecticut, East Lyme. East Lyme Assessor's Map 2.1, Lot 107,
With the waiver?
with a waiver of the setback dimensions as required in section 20.25J.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mulholland, you'll make that?
Yes, we will, and be reminded that you're going to file that on a land record, CGM.
I will.
Technically legal.
I will do that tomorrow.
You're good to go.
Thank you.
Moving on, Mr. Zamarka, Attorney Zamarka. Item number 2, regular meeting, legislative updates in relation to PA 21-29. The town attorney is to present information on new legislation regarding accessory apartments, commission training, affordable housing plans, and PA 21-1, recreational marijuana.
Good evening again, folks. My name is Mark Zamarka. I'm with Waller, Smith & Palmer, the Town Attorney's Office. And as the Chairman noted, a couple of recent bills signed into law that will have an impact on applications coming before this Commission. PA 21-29 covers a lot of ground, the main point of which is dealing with accessory apartments. An accessory apartment is defined as a separate dwelling unit that is located on the same lot as the principal dwelling, that has cooking facilities and is compliant or exempt from any applicable building, health, fire, or safety regs. Now, beginning January 1, 2022, zoning regulations shall provide that at least one accessory apartment shall be allowed as of right on any lot that contains a single-family dwelling unless the town decides to opt out. As we know, as of right means no public hearing, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Once the application is filed, the new law states that a decision has to be made on it within 65 days from receipt of the application. An accessory apartment can be attached or located within an existing principal dwelling, or it can be detached and located on the same lot.
Should be this like a mother-in-law apartment?
It's sort of, yeah. I know that's something that was discussed a while ago. I believe the term at the time was granny pods, but it's the same type of thought, yes.
Kills the zone.
It impacts zoning. No question. Currently, our regulations do not address these in any way. Again, once an application is filed, a decision has to be made within 65 days of receipt of that application, although the applicant can grant an additional 65-day extension, which they can do with other land use applications as well.
So essentially, it has the potential to double the density of the community.
That potentially, if you take it out to the logical extreme, yes.
Which could impact schools, buses, police, so on and so forth.
But wouldn't they have to stay in the same
I was just
setbacks?
gonna ask.
They have to comply with the same setbacks, that's correct.
So
So
that
there's
can
only
stop a
certain areas
few.
really that this
Yeah.
would apply.
That's correct.
First,
correct. And then also, you cannot condition approval of an accessory apartment on correction of a nonconformity or requiring sprinklers or anything like that. The only way you can do that is if sprinklers are required in the principal dwelling, and for a single-family unit, I don't know that there's anything in town where that's
No, it's
required.
not required.
Yeah. So, again, this is just an overview. It's not really a deep dive, just to let you know what's happening, what may be coming down the road.
And the town can choose to opt out.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm going.
If the zoning board chooses to opt out, then the legislative body of the town also has to opt out.
Right, so here's how it works. This goes into effect January 1 of next year, unless the town decides to opt out. And as Mr. Mulholland noted, that process starts with the zoning commission. The zoning commission has to hold a public hearing, the same way you would for any land use application. You have to affirmatively decide to opt out by a 2/3 vote. You have to state your reasons on the record for deciding to opt out, and you have to publish notice of your decision. Again, nothing that is out of the ordinary with any application that comes before you.
If you choose to opt out, does the town lose any other benefits?
No.
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 Okay.
But it's a two-step process, the opt-out. Starts with the zoning commission. If the zoning commission decides to opt out, then the Board of Selectmen, as the town's legislative body, has to approve it, again by a 2/3 vote.
There were no conditions in the
There are not. The way,
for additional parking and those types of activities.
not pursuant to an accessory apartment, no.
Thank you.
I have no money, I'm gonna make a little shed out there and rent it out.
There are certain requirements for an accessory apartment in terms of minimum square
Doesn't have to
footage.
be my family,
No,
so I can rent it out. It's ridiculous, it goes to zoning.
you said something about exempt from safety, fire
the
regulations?
the
First
principal
30
the
seconds.
principal dwelling, it has to be otherwise exempt from any regulations. So there can't be any fire or safety conditions attached to the principal dwelling that the accessory apartment would be attached to. It's, again, that's something that's going to happen. I would guess, if the town decides not to opt out, would be something fairly minor.
Would the
as far
town
as
look
that
at
goes.
lawsuits, per se, if we do opt out?
The statute allows the town to opt out. Now, whether that means somebody wouldn't decide to bring a lawsuit against it, who knows?
Could
We know very well anybody can sue anyone for anything.
So, an accessory apartment could be allowed, say, in an RU 80 or whatever it may be.
Basically, anywhere there is a single-family dwelling.
Anyway,
No, but what I'm saying is, could we allow it in a certain zone?
Technically, technically, the statute says that here you go, so any zoning regulations shall designate locations or zoning districts within the municipality in which accessory apartments are allowed, provided at least one such apartment shall be allowed as of right on each lot that contains a single-family dwelling.
We can opt out, but then we could bring it up next year and say, well, let's take a look at this. Maybe there are some areas or zones that we could do this in.
So I
you
would
give an
really,
inch, you give a yard.
Mr.
take
Dwyer,
them.
there is a flip side to this. So I am hoping that the commission will do the public hearing and that we will entertain this, because there are many families that are facing issues that this would benefit. We have a lot of people caring for elderly parents. We have a lot of families caring for kids with disabilities. There are many reasons for us to consider this as a benefit to the community. So I would encourage this commission to do the public hearing and to debate this and see if we land on 4-2, because I will tell you that I'm opposing your views right now.
That's
Mr.
okay, yeah, you're welcome,
So-
you're wrong, I know it.
I'm actually gonna agree with
It's a-
Ms. Kim
It's
K
a
here.
law that kills
It's
zoning.
very
That's why it's
un-Republican for me to say this,
Yeah.
but I agree with Mr. Donovan on this.
I
We
will
need to
say-
think
I'm
of this.
telling you.
As you're, no, keep putting that.
Yeah, I know. Well, the reason why I say that is because actually, I know a couple, a young family, just starting their family, that, you know, they wanted their parents to come down here as well, and they wanted
See it
to
every
do an
day.
accessory use building,
Yeah.
and now we've lost taxpayers.
Yeah.
So,
I see it every day in my office.
yeah.
Parents need to move in, I've been there myself, so I understand and get it. We do have some methods that we are currently using.
That is why I was asking is, can we have it in
There
a
are
certain
other
zone
options
area?
that we can talk
Yeah.
about.
Right, so we should start the conversation sooner rather than
And
later.
there are other ways to entertain accessory living. To bring in a parent, a family member, somebody with disability who may be able to be on their own to a degree, could live in a separate space, but can't be that far away from a caregiver who's a family member, and we all probably know people in those situations when they have them.
And East Lyme, it has not been friendly to those situations, so I'm hoping that we can move in that
And I
direction.
agree with you, I have
What we have been
sympathy for
able to
them.
do is
But the
allow
problem is,
additions
15
on
years from now,
locations.
they're gone, they're dead, or divorced, or what, and that apartment is still there, and it becomes a rented apartment. It becomes rental probably, and you have no zoning anymore. No thing today, think 10 years from now.
We'll see what happens after the debate.
Mr. Donovan, my
Yes.
recollection is that this board discussed this issue, perhaps not during this administration, but at least 4 years ago.
Correct.
And so it might be helpful to go back in minutes and see what the feeling was at that time. There was quite a lengthy discussion.
I think it was, they were allowed, but you couldn't have a stove.
And,
I've been
so-
allowing them without kitchens.
Yeah.
So it
They're
might be a
attached to the
starting
building, that
point,
way
if
actually
someone
police
would take
can
the
help.
time to go back. and
Yeah,
look
I
at
was going to
previous
say.
discussions, then that's kind of a starting point to move forward, based on what some of the early thoughts were.
I don't like the state of Connecticut coming down here and telling us what to do. Each town has their own issues, their own demographics, and I'm all for talking about it after January 1st, absolutely. But gear it towards our town and not have a carte blanche blanket telling us what to do.
A couple things to keep in mind, because you mentioned talk about it after January 1st. The law goes into effect January 1st,
What I'm
2022.
suggesting is that we opt out,
For
then
now.
talk about it in a real way.
And come up with something for our community.
Yes.
Right, because this is just thrown upon us right now. Yeah.
Which we've done on many, many subjects over the years. And we have changed our regulations from time to time, as this commission has thought they need to be to accommodate whatever the subject matter may have been. So I think that's something you can do. I think Kim has a very good point. We all have parents.
Well, to Mr. Peck's point, if people aren't happy with these things, we have to get after the state legislature that's passing these things.
Yes.
And
Amen.
passing them as carte blanche for everybody.
There was a very big legislative move by certain groups up in Hartford, led by certain people who pushed these elements and some of the other things that Mark is going to address today. And they did pass that. That's why we were talking about them. It was surprising to many of us in the land use business.
So this PA 2129 is just the accessory apartments?
That's one part
What
of
I'm
it.
understanding of it? Okay.
That's one part of it. There are,
Carry on, please.
sure thing. Effective January 1 of 2023, every member of a planning, zoning, or ZBA has to complete at least 4 hours of training on a biennial basis. Training has to
No problem with that.
Training has to include at least 1 hour on affordable and fair housing policies. It may also include process and procedure, how to conduct an effective public hearing, interpreting site plans, impact of zoning on environment, agriculture, and historical resources. OPM, Office of Policy and Management, I think has already started setting out guidelines for the training.
I will note that there are a couple organizations, including.
We've been to a couple already, so.
Yeah, and the state zoning organization runs some training, and a couple other groups, I think OPM's got an now umbrella, all of that.
Okay.
Come up with some class material.
I'm going to cut you off there. Mr. Marker, please go ahead.
Sure. The next item is the Affordable Housing Plan. This is really nothing terribly new. The town already has an affordable housing plan as of 2009, required to update it every 5 years, beginning June 1 of 2022. So we have an existing plan from 2009 that was done as part of a revision of the POCD back at that time. So that's just something that the town is going to need to have on its radar by June of next year.
It can just be updated.
So that's for the town. Is this state going to look at theirs?
It has to be submitted to OPM. The town's policies do. This is just directed to the municipalities.
We don't have a problem.
It adds some certain requirements in terms of posting the plan to the website, having a hearing on it, things like that. Again, that's more technical stuff, but that's not really.
Not a big deal.
It's nothing that hasn't been done before. It's just
Essentially housekeeping.
bringing it back to the fore, yes. Then we go to 21-1, the responsible and equitable regulation of adult use cannabis. I was going to bring a prop, but I decided I didn't want to break my back. No, I didn't mean that. I meant
What's
the
on your
statute
tie?
itself. It's a 300-page. That's not what I meant. Come on. It's 300 pages. Only about 2 pages of which actually directly apply to the zoning commission. But there are a couple things to keep in mind. There are 10 pages of definitions, but there are a couple of definitions that do apply to the zoning commission. First is a cannabis establishment. There are 10 different types of cannabis establishments, including a producer, a dispensary facility, a cultivator, a micro-cultivator. The difference between those is how much grow space is in the particular establishment. A retailer, a hybrid retailer, delivery service, or transporter. The reason these are important is because what a town can do by its zoning regulations is a couple of things. It can prohibit the establishment of any cannabis establishment within the town, or it can establish reasonable regulations regarding hours, signage, and proximity of a cannabis establishment.
What about numbers?
And that also goes to that. Until the end of June of 2024, a town cannot allow more than one retailer and one micro cultivator for every 25,000 residents. I think we're still 20, somewhere around 20. So until June 30th of 2024, at which point the Department of Consumer Protection may change those figures and percentages. Can't have more than one retailer or one micro cultivator for every 25,000 residents. So again, what constitutes a cannabis establishment is very important, because clearly there's only a few types of things we can have in town based on our size. There's limited local control over this. It's an allowed use, but it is allowed as a special permit use. So there are some controls that can be put on it. Again, there's no opt-out provision like you have with the accessory apartments. The zoning commission either decides to prohibit it by an amendment to its regulations, or there is a provision where 10% of the electors of the town can file a petition with the clerk asking that the matter be put on the ballot for the next regular election. Again, that's not something that applies to the zoning commission, but that's the other way of potentially prohibiting or allowing these establishments. So,
Mr. Marcus, from a zoning standpoint, are we able to put regulations in place for, you said there's like 10 defined entities.
right.
If we have strong views on 5 of those, could we create regulations around the growing of it versus the selling of it? Like, are we allowed to stratify the different types? No.
No.
So all 10 types fall under one
That's,
zoning
it's,
regulation?
no,
No.
maybe I misspoken, I apologize if I did. There's the definition of a cannabis establishment, kind of an overarching definition. And within that, there are 10, I guess you could call them subcategories, or 10 types of businesses that qualify as a cannabis establishment. And so when you are deciding whether or not to allow or regulate a cannabis establishment, those are the types of businesses that you're looking at.
So those subclasses, so are our zoning regulations for an establishment and it pertains to any
Correct.
of those 10?
Correct.
And we can't
That's
carve
correct.
out and pick?
Not as I read the statute. Again, this is very new. We haven't gotten any guidance from Office of Legislative Research yet, but I'm sure that's coming. You know, this was just signed in, I think it was June 15th or July 15th, so it's, the ink is still wet.
As follow-up to his comments, I just want to note that there's a live application,
Yes.
and it's going to be on the agenda.
Yep.
Mr. Mark and I have already started to discuss it in detail, which I won't poison the well here at this time, so we will have opportunity to debate that at some point, but we're looking at it for any omissions that we think need to be included, and then you'll have the opportunity to debate it.
And the other thing to keep in mind too is the law does allow it to be a special permit use. So we already know that in section 25 we have pages upon pages of controls for special permits for certain types of businesses. So there is some latitude as far as that goes. You know, for example, and obviously one of the things you can regulate is, you know, distance from a church, a school, a playground, things like that, obviously.
And this is separate from medicinal marijuana.
That's correct.
So it's a totally
That's correct.
different book.
That's correct.
Retail sales.
Yep.
And all of our
Yep.
zoning regs we have in place right now are for the LI, right? We positioned everything.
That's where the adult
uses,
use,
there's
adult
one
entertainment
lot,
establishments go, yes.
that allows them, and there's by exit 71 in the light industrial zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are techniques in the
Yes.
business
Yeah.
to use the spatial distances.
We have.
But that's what we have on the books right now is the
Correct,
LI.
correct. So there is a bit of a template there for that, yes.
And there's no sidewalks down there.
And again, that's just an overview. I'm sure we'll be getting applications for accessory apartments potentially. Potentially you want to schedule it for a public hearing. And as Mr. Mulholland said, we do have an application already under 21-1, so stay tuned.
And I'll also note that I've had other calls for that statue already from out of state.
So we are opting out of
No.
21, 29?
No,
or-
we need to
No,
talk
no,
about
no, no,
it.
no, no.
No.
It's, remember,
All right, I'm just getting
the town,
preparation, Kevin.
the town can opt out. It's a two-step procedure. It starts with this commission. If this commission decides that it wants to discuss or potentially opt out, it has to notice a public hearing,
All right, so we need to have a public
conduct a
hearing.
public hearing according to 8-7 and all the timelines that we're all used to, state the reasons on the record, publish notice of the decision, and then if what the statute says is the process is completed by the Board of Selectmen by a 2/3 vote.
So
And
then,
we have to have a minimum of.
Mr.
four
Mulholland, it
to-
sounds like
Correct.
we need to schedule.
Correct. If that's something that I think would be a motion, you know, because you
Yeah.
would be taking action.
This is why I'm asking, so we need to make a motion to schedule this.
If you want to address it now, then you need to make a motion, and what I would suggest is, as you noticed, we had very light spring as a commission. This fall, we're busy now. The pandemic had pushed a lot of work off, the prices of construction, and now people are back with applications of Texas and.
September, October, November, December.
Exactly. So my slots are filling up, so I need to know what they're going to do.
So then-
I can-
As sitting chairman tonight, I would like to see us make a motion to either proceed or opt out of PA 21-29. So
Well,
do I
the-
have a
the-
motion? to-
Not-
Should we wait till Mr. Dwyer gets back?
Oh, yeah, we should, sorry.
And I would note, Mr. Donovan, for purposes of the motion, you don't want to say you're scheduling, you want to say you're scheduling a public hearing to discuss potentially opting out of the accessory apartment, or the accessory dwelling unit portion of PA 21-29.
Get that, Brooke? Good, so, 'cause I'll go back to the minutes.
Then we can just say what you said. I can't write that fast.
Most likely
Okay.
October-ish, because of the schedule.
All right, so when
I
Mr.
have to run a couple
Dwyer
of
steps back in,
usual.
Yeah, it's the usual
we'll go
time,
from there.
timelines, yeah.
Does anybody have any other comments?
Do you want to have a discussion before you have the?
That's why I'm asking right now, yes.
Well, yeah, 'cause
That's what we've been talking
you'll have to make the motion, you can have discussion
Yeah.
after you have the second, yeah.
We're waiting on Dwyer.
Waiting on Mr. Dwyer.
Look at them, they're $3.
I'll give you $5. Shush. Just kidding. Can we move on to, oh, we can't, we need Mr. Dwyer.
He can
I
stay
think
included
this
in that.
October thing, we've got to, if we're going to schedule a public hearing, we've got to do this fast track. We're going to have a new Board of Selectmen, we're going to have a new zoning board.
Understood?
This is, we got to move on this thing.
Yeah, it's
For
true,
the
the
public
timing of
hearing.
election season.
We do
Tomorrow we'll
7,
look
7,
at the
16,
slots and find out,
16.
figure out what's available, and if we need to do a special meeting, we can do that as well. I'm going to.
Move it to the
I'm
second.
already going to assume we're going to need a bigger space.
September 2nd?
Yeah, if we're going to make a motion to schedule the public hearing, we should have the date available now. If otherwise,
We'll
yeah.
say at first available or special meeting, how about that?
Thank you, that helps, and
Okay.
I'll go back and look at the slots.
Okay.
We've already assigned a lot of these proposals to hearing dates, because they're live applicants and we expect their money to come before.
Kim, you know what you're going to say?
We could meet again, we can
I
meet
think
again in
yes, I
October,
think
in
we can.
August to get some of this stuff off the
We'll
table.
have this ready to go by Tuesday. Date, time, et cetera.
You don't have to repeat everything.
We're not, we waited
We
for you.
weren't going to, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back, Mr. Dwyer.
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. Okay. Moving on, do I have a motion?
Yes. I would like to make a motion regarding the Public Act 21-29 regarding accessory apartments, that we move to have a public meeting at first available on our schedule or by special meeting.
Public hearing,
Public meeting.
thank you.
Public hearing.
Public hearing as first available on our schedule or via a special meeting.
As to opt out, or?
To determine
to-
whether we will
Correct.
opt out or not.
Opt out.
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Peck. All those in favor?
Can I comment?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Motion, commentation, go ahead.
I have nothing against your motion, but I think we ought to give the town more an opportunity rather than quickly work on this. I'd like to get more input from the town to give them more time.
We don't
There
have
isn't-
time.
We don't have time, Mr. Dwyer.
I have the time I had, so 5 after 9.
The scenario
You
is
have
that,
up until January.
right, so the scenario is to have a public hearing for the public and the commission to decide if we opt out of said public act.
Right, and I'm wondering, I'd like to give the town, give them more an opportunity to learn what the hell we're doing.
that's what we're going to do.
That'll be the purpose of the public hearing, Mr.
Yes.
Dwyer.
Yeah, that's what the public.
I have a question before we proceed any further. If the board chooses to opt out and the legislative body chooses not to.
Then the opt-out does not go through.
Okay, thank you.
So it might be,
Both have to vote.
yeah, the way it
Do you
reads is,
understand that, Bill? You understand how it, I mean, this is just thrown upon us now.
I understand that.
So now we're gonna
I'm talking
turn it
about
over-
Having the town come in here to listen to us have a discussion.
Yeah,
And I think it's too short of a time to notify everybody in town, we are gonna have our meeting. It's my opinion.
But we would run.
Well, like
that's-
Mr. Peck said while you were meeting
Aware.
with people, that we need to fast track this as quick as we can.
Well, that's his
So that is
opinion.
why Mrs. K there said first available date.
And that's why I was against that.
The public hearing will explain to the public. I'm sure Mr. Zamarka would be there to explain what's going on.
If they know about it.
well,
It's a
it'll,
public hearing.
It's a
it'll,
public hearing, it's gonna be published in the day
I
paper.
don't see crowds coming to our public hearings.
If it's something
crowds,
you're interested
if,
in.
I'd remind you, Mr. Dwyer, the crowds that showed up in 2015 at Camp Niantic, I think it depends on the issue.
Yes.
We vote on it, that's all.
Do we have any more comments? Moving on.
You need a
All
vote
those
on the
in-
motion. Oh, sorry, thought you were moving on from that, pardon me.
All those in favor of said motion? Aye.
Aye.
Against?
I'm not against it.
Abstain. Motion carries. Mr. Mulholland, you'll move on to that.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Samarco. Moving on. Approval of minutes of July 1st, 2021. I did find a little boo-boo, but I can't find my copy here because I have so many copies here
I
now.
think there's a typo on page
There is a typo. I had it highlighted, but I lost my copy
Oh,
because we have so many
It
extra
just
copies
says-
up here.
If you tell me what it is, I'll find it.
In the,
oh.
you're all like to go, something like that.
I'll find it.
Goes back and forth. We have. Oh, here it is. Page 2. Under Mr. Walker, offer following comments. It's the 5th bullet point down. It reads, right now it says, we've had applications that have been continued where we had public participation early on in public hearing process, and those people kind of fell by the wayside as we continued and continued again. So I think, there's little
No refinement.
extra words in there, yeah.
There's just a small one on page 3.
Yep.
It says, Mr. Donovan noted the side, SIDE, remains erected, but it's signed.
Oh, thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I
Against?
have to
Oh, I
Abstain?
have to abstain. Yeah, I wasn't here.
abstain. To abstain. 7-10.
That's okay, it's all good. It's the tie again. All right. Old business, we have none. Moving on, new business. Item number 1. It's to be put on future agendas, just for the record. Election signage, which is a commission issue. Number 2, application of Paul Garrity, Esquire, for Duval Partners LLC, owner, for a zone change from an SU/SU-E to RU80 for property located at Holmes Road and Grassy Hill Road, identified in the application as East Lyme Assessor's Map 57.0, Lot 30, Map 55.0, Lot 3-1, and Map 52.0, Lot 3. Mr. Mulholland, you'll schedule that?
Yes.
September
correct. Thank you,
16th?
Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Number 3, application of Harvest Christian Fellowship of Niantic Incorporated for a special permit for a church/religious institution on the subject property. Said parcel is located at North Bridebrook Road, East Lyme Assessor's Map 24.0, Lot 76. Would you please schedule that, Mr. Mulholland?
Thank you.
Number 4, application of Theodore A. Harris, Esquire, for Christopher Manwaring for a text amendment to the East Lyme zoning regulations to add to Section 8.2 Landscaping Service Company as a special permit in a CA zone. Please schedule that, Mr. Mulholland.
Thank you.
Number 5, application of Theodore A. Harris, Esquire, for Lori Zrenda for a text amendment to the East Lyme zoning regulations to add to Section 11.2 marijuana dispensary as a special permit in an LI zone, and restrictions to Section 25.5 table of minimum controls for marijuana dispensary. Will you schedule that, Mr. Mulholland, please? Excuse me. Application of Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings LLC for a special permit for a gasoline service station with associated fast food restaurants and drive-through facilities at property located at 51 Boston Post Road, East Lyme Assessor's Map 36.0, Lot 61. Would you please schedule that,
Thank you.
Mr. Mulholland? Do we have any business on the floor? If not, from the majority of the commission.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Is there a reason why we can't discuss the election signage tonight? Because if we wait till next month, it's too late to do anything for this year.
It would be too late to do anything honestly this year because of the way we'd have to change the regulations as they're written, and it takes time to do that. You'd have to have a hearing it and said. So
So it's too
the
late.
text amendment
So you
takes
have to
time.
figure out public hearing
Right.
and referrals, so I gotta need about 40 days to accomplish the
Got
referrals.
it.
Would anybody mind if we took that one and maybe move that on to 3 or 4 months from now?
Maybe
Or,
down the road, we can do that if that's.
Since it's not-
realizing that-
Personally, I don't have an issue. I'll explain what I think this came up is, a couple of us actually attended a fundraiser, and there was a campaign sign out that he used as an identification for the property. So when Mr. McPherson saw that, I believe he just assumed that somebody had it out there. And then there was also a couple other signs that were put out that I took care of pretty quickly.
I think it's been an issue for a few years, and I mean, I know several people that would like to see no signs in our town, but I think it is an issue, and I would like to discuss it.
Yeah, I think it needs, it
and-
does, but it's nothing that's gonna, sorry, Noah, it's nothing that's gonna happen now prior to this election.
Yeah.
So,
That's why with such a busy, all of a sudden we get busy here.
fall.
Right, we're busy.
I'm saying if we eliminate this, maybe that could be a time management
Yeah, I'll look at-
decision.
Let me look at the schedule, I've got a flow chart up on my wall, and a quick look at that will show me what kind of spots we have. With all due respect, I think our priority is the accessory apartments and then our applications that we have people pay for to come before us. And, not all of the issues are important, but we have to manage those slots.
I'd like to suggest that we schedule a meeting in August.
I concur.
Right now, just agree that we're gonna have a meeting and you fill the agenda.
Well, all the, let me say this, the applications all require public hearings, so I've got them legal ads, et cetera. I don't think I can make it in August to do that now. Jen and I have sat down and run through the schedule, and I will share with you what I think we're looking to do for slots. I also need to make sure that the applicants are available with their teams, engineers, et cetera, architects. So we're looking at, on the Garrity application, September 16th. On the church, which is an application building in church, that's scheduled for September 2nd tentatively right now, because we've got.
Could we possibly move that one?
Well, he's an applicant too, and we've been talking to him for a year and a half. So, let's just run through this. and then,
Wouldn't hurt to ask, right?
Yeah, then the text amendment for Van Mooring is October 7th. The Zarenda application is October 7th as well. We doubled up there. And then the Noble Energy is September 16th. So we think we've got some openings and we can move some things in and out. We try to build flexibility in the schedule and not overburden you on any given night with 2 or 3 applications. We've all had those nights that they're 1 o'clock in the morning, and we've done that many
Understandably
times.
so, but now with what was just presented to the commission tonight from Attorney Zamarka, is it something to where we could try to move something around for 2 weeks?
Well, we can try to do that. What are you looking to accommodate?
How about the substantial improvement?
That's, Mark was supposed to bring that up. He's working on it. It's going to the Board of Selectmen.
I'm talking about the zoning change.
Right, that's done. The 2-year deal is done.
No, that was a correction where we have the building inspector as well as the zoning official. We were gonna have a public hearing to amend that.
Yes, and Mark and I met on that this morning, so we're gonna move that in with one of these slots. That's coming. And then, I had an email from Connecticut DEP, the FEMA folks at DEP, and, we've always thought that the town ordinance was only there to apply to those areas of town that have their own zoning. Because our zoning regs cover the entire town with the exception of Crescent Beach, Black Point, and Giants Neck Beach Association. And the ordinance, so we feel strongly, was put in to cover those areas only. So we're debating that with Mrs. Zamarka, I've talked to Mr. Nicholson about the ordinance, et cetera, so that's coming together. And then
So-
actually Zamarka was put
So the
together.
text amendment to the zoning regs, you've got that being scheduled.
Yes,
It's just eliminating the building inspector, right?
right.
Okay.
Because the thought was having one person make interpretations instead of 2 is
Missed
important,
this part of it.
and it creates a
So we
conflict.
missed a part? Is that, I say, because I thought we did this.
Well, we did this, and now there's the thought process was that having 2 people named in the zoning regulations has what we've found in a working situation, creating some conflict, because one person is following this and the other person may be ignoring what the
Point
code
taken.
calls
Understood.
for.
Okay.
So, in order to clarify that, put responsibility on one individual make any decisions, it should be one person.
Yeah, all right. So I guess where I was going was with what we just talked about this evening with the opt-out, to get the public
Right.
hearing out there as quick as
We're
possible.
gonna do all that as quick
So,
as possible.
Does anybody here have an issue with meeting again this month if the need arises?
Depends upon the day.
It would be Thursday,
If we need a special meeting, we'll have a special meeting.
5
It's
and
okay
7,
with me.
5 and 14, the 19th.
Well, I have no problem.
The real issue is, can we run legal ads and get that out in a timely fashion so that we can have a hearing, and if we've got to sit down and look at the schedule. I can't tell you that tonight, but we will look at it.
Well, you could get the legals out, because normally when we'll make a decision, you get them out the next week and they're effective the
Right,
next day.
but when you make a decision, it only has to be published once, leading up to
Understood.
it.
I got you.
It's got to be twice.
Point
We got
taken.
to pick the date, we got to get them into the day, make sure the day gets it right, and get that out as Bill's notice, public notice is important.
Point
And
taken.
we've all brought that up from time to time. We will go and schedule as quickly as possible and set things up. I also I'm thinking that we're gonna need a bigger room, and I need to anticipate that for the opt-out discussion. I may not, but I don't wanna be caught short and just have a small meeting space. And it's guesswork, and so, we're gonna talk about those things too.
Okay.
But we'll do our end of it, we'll let you know what's going on, and I'll chat with Matt and with you and with everyone. We'll get that done, we'll work on it immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Mulholland. Little other business I have on the floor. Last meeting, we were asked to print out our papers, right? Which some of us did, most of us did. And tonight, I came in here because very few of us replied to Jen if we were coming or not. So therefore, it's a guess game on Mr. Mulholland and his office on whether to print it. So this is, to me,
Thank you.
a big waste of paper.
Thank you very much.
What?
I appreciate you doing that.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. So if we can reply to the zoning office, whether we are attending or not attending, we'll have an idea who's coming, and we're not going to waste paper.
It helps us
Fair.
to schedule it in the forum.
In all honesty,
We understand
because
people are coming
like
in.
right now, this is just, it's a waste. It really is.
I thought we were supposed to bring our own
You can. That's, I mean, I have no problem doing that.
to save paper.
I have no problem doing that. It's just a suggestion. I mean, if you can do what you want, but, and I guess my point being is if you reply and say
I
you're
did
coming,
reply.
I know, you'll have a copy.
If I may be so bold,
Go
as
right
to
ahead.
say, if you can't depend on somebody to RSVP, you certainly can't depend on them to bring what they're supposed to bring. So
I know.
the zoning office has to make sure everybody has the material.
No, I get it. I'm just voicing my opinion.
If
That's
you gotta
it.
print it, you gotta
Yeah.
print it.
The thing that gets me is like when we meet and we have, you know, like, what's the tall guy? Keith Daco. And you get the big blueprints, and then Bill has to reprint those every week if something, not Daco, but other applications to where we meet twice or three times and we have to get,
It guarantees his job.
Well,
He's around.
I'm not
It's-
printing it, Jim's printing it. And, but what happens is a practical application, some members remember to bring stuff, some do not. And in order to ensure that I've got applicants paying to be here, so I need to ensure that everybody has the materials, so rather than have somebody sitting there without them, we print them to ensure that the applicant gets a fair shake and that all of you have the materials.
Good.
Now, sometimes in the office, some folks don't want to do the printing, but it's
don't
necessary.
do that. Do not do that.
Gentlemen, the message has been received. I will
You know?
RSVP from now
Sometimes
on.
people just want to go to the zoning office, talk, and you
Wow.
didn't get out. Yeah.
Okay,
the one
I'll RSVP and I'll bring my own papers.
That wasn't
We're
you.
good. I'll do it, I promise.
Hey, Terry,
Motion to end the
Terry.
meeting.
you're not getting the Christmas.
I second it.
Oh, well, I'm not wearing a tie again. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, moving on. Does anybody else have any other business? No? All right, moving on. Mr. Zoning Official,
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
nothing more. Roseanne?
I'll be brief. Well, not all that brief, but I'll be brief. So as many of you are aware, there was a town meeting last night in regards to the public safety building. And there was a lot of discussion, a lot of public comment, and that did move forward. So we can continue on, and I'm sure that the debate will continue
That was
regarding
for the
it.
additional funding necessary?
Yes, yeah, for the roof,
And other things.
yeah.
Not just the roof. The meeting was other things.
There were 6 items, I think.
Yeah.
Approval also of additional $20,000 for an engineering study for the East Lyme High School pool roof, for roof damage. And originally, the Board of Education had an authorization amount of $17,000, so they needed additional funds, so that's now up to $20,000, and that's not for any of the work to be done. That is for an engineering study. American Rescue Funds, that's taken a lot of time from the Board of Selectmen for discussion, and we've got this money that we can work with, but it's much more complicated than that. Many of the things that we've thought would be good for the town, we now find out are not eligible under the monies. So right now, I'm not going to give you the amounts, but the things that we have on the list that were approved by the board and sent to the Board of Finance for approval. Wi-Fi improvements at the town hall, virtual meeting package, at least at the town hall, so that we would be able to have meetings such as this be live, as well as taped, and also have Zoom
I have
capabilities.
to wear a tie all the time.
And more technology.
And more technology.
Microwave dishes for the emergency management, public safety building, security cameras at various town locations. There have been a number of incidences that have occurred lately that we just do not have visual contact on to be able to track down and solve, let's say, the incidents. I hate to say crime in East Lyme.
Just say the Cadillac converters.
That doesn't
They're
happen
gone.
here.
Yeah.
A wellness prevention mentoring coordinator for the East Lyme Youth Services, a clinical therapist and counselor, again for the youth services, and we're trying to also consider some regional purchases, and the first of this would be a regional refrigerated truck, so that they are able to store more foods, particularly foods that are donated, and particularly, of course, foods that need to be refrigerated. We aren't quite sure how that would work, but that would be a shared cost, of which, at least in the initial estimate, would be $10,000 for our share. Right now, much of that is stored at the old highway garage, and Care and Share is sadly lacking for storage spaces for the amount of food that's being donated, and it's just not a good situation. So this was moved forward to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Finance tabled this because they wanted to devote their entire meeting to the discussion of the emergency management funds, and so that has been postponed until their next meeting. So far, we haven't been able to spend much of the money that's
What
out
was
there.
the funds for the town hall again in the beginning? Audio, you said?
Wi-Fi improvements.
Wi-Fi. Nothing about air quality though, huh?
No. At the town hall? No, but if you're aware
I
of,
hate to work in the basement, just saying.
oh, I think that, I think there's more, we're in progress. I don't think all of the work has been completed yet.
I think we should skip Wi-Fi and go with ham radios.
So some of the things that had been suggested that we're inquiring about, as you go around to a lot of the private buildings, you see that their restrooms are closed to the public. And unfortunately, we can't do that for town hall and our other public buildings. So one of the things that I was hoping we might be able to get would be touchless faucets and automatic flush toilets. Our buildings are open to the public. We now know that we have a new wave of virus coming forward. We're still investigating whether that would be able to be covered under public health as a preventative measure. And if so, as you know, many of our buildings are getting on the old side. And
I like the ashtrays still.
And what?
I like the ashtrays. You go in the bathroom, you see the ashtrays. It's nice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very retro.
So we continue to examine these things and to see. We've had to get opinions from the town attorney to interpret what we can spend. Of our list that we had about 70 items, and we haven't been able to get really any of them beyond the Board of Finance yet. So at this point, we're hoping that funds will be eligible for updates to our water and sewer infrastructure, which is sadly lacking. We're on the horizon of needing to have another well drilled, particularly
In conjunction with the water we get from New London?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really kind of daunting, because everybody thinks, well, you've got all this money to spend, and yet many of the things that we want apparently are not going to be eligible to be covered. So I said I would keep it brief. There's some other things that are being discussed. These items should be brought up at the next meeting of the Board of Finance. Unfortunately, we think that all of those items will be eligible to be covered, and it's unfortunate that there's yet another delay. So I'm available for any questions anybody might have, or you're probably exhausted by this point. So thank you very much, and again, thank you for all your work that you put in. And I think for all of our boards and commissions in town, we're going to be facing a lot of upcoming issues that are going to really make us think hard about our town. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Hardy.
you.
Moving on, comments from the zoning board liaison to planning. Mr. Dwyer, did you make it to the July 13th meeting?
I made it a very quiet meeting, really. It was, they discussed the, excuse me, our text amendment that we changed, and that there was a discussion on the recovery money, which is a little too late now. And Mr. Solano was talking, he was talking about retirement, told that he was going to retire, etc. He made a speech about that. And that's about the basic thing it was. It was really a quiet meeting.
Mark Salerno's retiring?
He is not seeking re-election.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately.
But he's been active for almost 20 years.
I think he was 23 when he got on this.
Yeah, he's been involved a long time. Yep.
He's in a couple-year hiatus.
Yeah.
He's got a young
And
family.
he's always been a gentleman and a very intelligent member
Yeah.
of committees.
Next up,
He's just taking a break leave.
yeah, his kids are at that age now. Yeah. Moving on, next is me. Next week, the 10th. See if I can remember, because I thought I missed it. Right, Bill? Followed by Mrs. Kim K.
All right.
On the 14th.
September. Yep.
Comments from the chairman, acting chairman, myself. I tried to do a good job. I think I did okay.
You
I got
wore
the
the
tie
tie.
on tonight.
You did
know,
good.
we did good.
Right?
And going from there, moving on. Yes.
I've been reviewing some regs here, and when it comes to serving liquor, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, beer, wine, whatever, it seems to be a jumbled effect here. We got pages and pages on restaurants that serve liquor, and if a beer place comes in, it becomes a special meeting. One can eat food, the other can't eat food. It seems to be a little jumbled a thing. I want to look into it and maybe come up with some ideas.
Okay, that was back at number 7, just for the record.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So you want to look into the difference between a restaurant establishment versus a...
Just all the liquor serving things in town, which includes
liquor and
restaurants.
beer, or just
Yeah,
liquor?
the whole bit.
Okay. In terms of
Clearing it up.
having
Because
to
I'm
serve...
Yeah, I can't figure why a guy who wants to open up a beer joint gets a special permit, and there's no regulations, none. But the only regulations is we, as the zoning, said, well, you close at 10 o'clock and you can't have a beer. It doesn't seem like it's standard. You get a different zoning board and they come in and would make different rules. And there's nothing written down for these special beer places that come in.
You mean like the
Like a tap
breweries?
room, yes. There is in here.
Breweries.
Didn't we added some in here, Mr. Dwyer?
There's stuff in there.
We
No.
do. Yes.
For restaurants would,
No, for tap rooms.
okay, then I must have missed it.
Yeah, the applicants came in front of us last
long ago.
year?
Yeah, I believe. No, it's like sooner.
Or even earlier in this year?
Yeah,
No, didn't it fall under the special
Before
permit?
my
Put it in
time.
as a special permit,
Mm.
and subsequently they came in on the patio.
Right.
Because we had the special rules.
That's
and
right.
Of course, under COVID, there were special rules
Right.
for them to
'Cause-
operate.
That was their first step in getting the,
Right, because they don't have food service,
right.
and now it was debated whether they should or shouldn't, and as all these things are. and you adopted certain regulations. In addition, in section 20 of the general regs of your code, there's extensive regulation of liquor outlets based on state statute. And technically, you don't see a lot of bars in East Lyme, you see restaurants.
Right.
Bars,
There are no bars, well,
That's
Yeah.
correct.
And the breweries have state guidelines as well.
Correct.
Yes, so, just for the record.
just a thought. I'll be seeing you again.
Okay. All right, next meeting at number 7, you can bring it up. Okay. In terms of my comment, that was it, really.
You did a nice job, too.
You did a good job.
Time to go. Good luck to you
Thank you.
Yes.
I figured, you're here all night.
and your
talking,
employees.
I
May
want
say
to
some
say
guy was walking around looking at the patio and he
hang
was
with
in
us.
shorts and a tie. Well, that was me,
you do.
because I think she followed me here.
The tie is good.
Yeah. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
See you later. Thank you. Enjoy.